There are people out there right now who are specifically targeting cruise passengers, and some of the tactics being used today are things most experienced travelers have never even heard of. If you've been cruising for years, maybe decades, you probably feel like you know what to watch out for, but a few of these will catch you off guard. I know, because I've seen them catch seasoned cruisers off guard, and that's exactly why we're talking about them today. Welcome back! If you've been cruising for years, maybe decades, you know this channel is about giving you the real picture, not the glossy brochure version. After more than 20 years of sailing most of the major lines, I've picked up a lot. And lately, what I've been picking up is a pattern of scams that are getting more sophisticated, more targeted, and frankly, more common than most people realize. Today, I'm walking you through 4 hidden cruise scams you almost certainly haven't been warned about yet. Some of these are new. One of them is specifically targeting a group that might include people watching right now. And I'll be honest, the last one surprised me when I first heard about it, and I think it'll surprise you too. If this is helpful, tap the thumbs up. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time. Let's get into it. Now, before we dive in, let me tell you how we're going to cover this. We're going to start with the most familiar category, transportation, because even if you think you know this one, there are details that have changed. Then we move into some territory that's newer and less talked about. The scam I want you to pay the most attention to is coming in the second half of this, so stay with me, because it's the one that genuinely floored me when I heard the full story. Number 1, the fake driver scam and why it's gotten harder to spot. This one has been around in some form for years, but the way it works today is different enough that it's worth going over carefully. The setting is usually an airport, a cruise terminal, or anywhere there's a crowd of arriving passengers. You're tired, you have luggage, and someone walks up to you and offers a ride. Maybe they're holding a sign, maybe they mention your airline, maybe the word Uber or Lyft is showing on a phone screen they hold up toward you. Here's the honest truth. None of that means they are who they say they are. A real rideshare driver doesn't approach you. You go to them, through the app. The car, the license plate, the driver's name, all of that gets confirmed inside the app before you even walk out the door. If someone is standing outside baggage claim with a phone showing the Uber logo and asking if you need a ride, that is not an Uber driver. That is someone who downloaded the app icon and is using it as a prop. The same applies to taxis. Real, licensed taxis queue in designated taxi lanes. A driver who approaches you in a parking lot, or who's parked on the other side of the road waving you over, is operating outside those rules for a reason. That reason is never good for you. Now, the related scam that catches people even after they've gotten into a legitimate cab, the broken card reader. You get in, the meter runs, you arrive and the driver tells you the card machine isn't working. Cash only. And if you say you don't have cash, suddenly there's a very convenient ATM they'd like to take you to. I've heard this from enough people that I take it seriously every time I travel. The simple move. Before the cab pulls away, ask the driver directly whether their card reader is working, and carry a modest amount of local cash, just enough to cover a typical cab fare whenever you're arriving somewhere new. It costs almost nothing to be prepared. It can cost you a lot not to be. I've seen this catch experienced travelers more than once. The point isn't that you're naive, it's that these drivers are practiced at this, and they're counting on the moment of arrival fatigue to work in their favor. Number 2, the AI content scam and what it's actually doing with your information. This is the one that has grown the fastest in the last year or two, and it's the one that most people in our age group haven't fully clocked yet. So let me be clear about what's happening. There are YouTube channels, Facebook pages, and websites in the cruise and travel space that are not run by real people. They are generated by artificial intelligence, the videos, the voice, sometimes even the face on screen. The content can look and sound entirely convincing. The advice might even seem reasonable, but the real purpose of these channels is not to help you. It's to collect your information. Here's how it typically works. The channel builds an audience. Then it starts asking people to subscribe to a newsletter, join a Facebook group, or register for some kind of travel community. You hand over your email address, maybe your phone number, maybe a bit about your travel habits, and once that information is in someone else's hands, you lose control of how it gets used. Your email address and phone number are valuable. Data brokers buy and sell that kind of personal information constantly. And once your details are in that system, they become raw material for phishing emails, fake travel deals, and increasingly convincing scam messages that already know your name and the kind of trips you take. The way you protect yourself here is straightforward. Be skeptical of any channel or page that seems more interested in getting your contact information than in actually helping you. A legitimate content creator doesn't need you to join a private group or hand over your email to get value from the content. If a channel is pushing hard for that, ask yourself why. And be especially cautious about where you enter personal information online. If something feels off about a website, the URL looks slightly wrong, the contact details are vague, the About page tells you nothing real, trust that instinct. Speaking of protecting your personal information, while you're out there researching and booking cruises, and I want to mention this because it connects directly to what we just covered. If you've been finding value in this channel, you might want to take a look at the Seasoned Cruisers Complete Pack. I've put together everything I couldn't fit into individual videos, the questions to ask before you book, that most cruisers only think of after they sail, the fees and traps that keep coming up, the checklist for the moment you board. It's a reference you can come back to every time you plan a trip. The link is in the description below, and you can scan the code on your screen right now if that's easier. Now, let me tell you about the scam that genuinely surprised me, and it's one that hits a group of cruisers who are often the most prepared and experienced people on the ship. Number 3, the solo cabin sharing scam, and why it's so hard to see coming. This one is specifically worth paying attention to if you travel solo or if you're part of any solo travel group on Facebook. But honestly, everyone should understand how this works, because the mechanics of it reveal something important about how cruise bookings actually operate. Here's the setup. In solo cruiser Facebook groups, or in groups organized around a specific sailing, someone posts that they have a cabin and are looking to split it with another solo traveler. The pitch makes a lot of sense on the surface. You avoid the single supplement that fee cruise lines charge when one person occupies a cabin designed for two and you share the cost. The other person seems friendly online. They've been chatting in the group, they seem legitimate. The problem is what happens once you're on board. When you book a cabin and add someone else to it, that person is legally connected to your booking. You, as the primary passenger, carry responsibility for the reservation. If that second person decides to cause a problem, goes to guest services with a complaint, creates some kind of incident, misuses a shared amenity like an onboard credit, it lands on your record. Not just theirs, yours. Here's the detail that most people don't know until it's explained to them at guest services. If there's an onboard credit attached to your cabin, that credit is accessible to both passengers, not just you. The person you agreed to share with can spend it. And if either passenger in a cabin abuses a drink package or another shared benefit, the consequence can apply to both passengers. This isn't a theoretical risk. It's something that has happened to real cruisers who went into the arrangement with good intentions and reasonable trust. The fact that you've chatted online, or that the person seems genuine, doesn't change the contractual reality of how cruise bookings work. My honest advice, do not share a cabin with someone you don't know in real life, regardless of how the savings look on paper. If the single supplement is a real financial concern, and I understand that it is for a lot of people, there are cruise lines that have made specific efforts to address this. Norwegian Cruise Line has solo studios on several ships. Holland America and Princess both occasionally run promotions that reduce or waive the single supplement. Those are the legitimate routes to saving on solo travel. A Facebook arrangement with a stranger is not. This is the one I'd never risk. The potential downside is too significant, and the savings are not worth it. Have you seen posts like this in any cruise groups you're part of? I'm genuinely curious because I think it's more widespread than most people realize. Drop a comment below, I read every single one. Number 4, the fake shore excursion scam and where it's actually happening now. For a long time, the conversation about shore excursion scams was about the port itself. Someone on the dock approaches you with a great deal, takes your cash, and either delivers a poor experience or disappears entirely. That still happens. But the version that's grown significantly in the last few years happens before you even get to the port, and it happens inside Facebook groups. This is how it goes. You're in a cruise group on Facebook looking at posts about a particular itinerary or port of call. Someone posts about an incredible shore excursion. They're organizing a private group tour, a better price than the ship's offerings, a more authentic experience. The price looks genuinely good. The catch is that you need to pay upfront, either the full amount or a deposit, through Venmo, PayPal, or another peer-to-peer payment app. The person running this may have been in the group for a while. They may have several posts that look legitimate. They may seem like exactly the kind of experienced cruiser who would know the best local tour operators. And then you pay, and the excursion never happens. Sometimes the account disappears. Sometimes they string people along with excuses until the sailing date passes. Either way, the money is gone, and because it went through a person-to-person payment app rather than a legitimate booking system, recovering it is extremely difficult. The rule here is simple and worth writing down. Never pay for a shore excursion through a peer-to-peer payment app to someone you don't know. Book through the ship, through established third-party operators with real websites and verifiable reviews, or through a port agent with a proven track record. If the price seems dramatically lower than anything else you've found, that gap is usually explained by the fact that you're never going to receive the service. This is also true for anything sold through direct messages. If someone in a Facebook group reaches out to you privately about a deal on an excursion, a cabin share, or a travel package of any kind, do not engage with it. Legitimate offers don't need to be conducted in private. Now, a connected note on Facebook groups in general. These communities can be genuinely useful. There are cruise groups with tens of thousands of members where the information is solid and the people are helpful and honest. The administrators of the best groups work hard to remove bad actors. But even the most carefully managed group cannot catch everyone. The responsibility ultimately rests with you. Be skeptical of anything that asks for money before you've verified who you're dealing with. And if something feels off, the account is new, the details don't add up, the pressure to pay, quickly walk away. I want to be honest about something. None of this is meant to make you paranoid. The vast majority of cruisers, crew, drivers, and tour operators you encounter are doing their jobs honestly. Cruising is, in many ways, one of the safest and most enjoyable ways to travel, and it will continue to be. But part of traveling well, especially as people who've been doing this long enough to know how much a trip costs in time, money, and planning, is knowing where the pressure points are so you can protect yourself. The 4 areas we covered today: transportation scams, AI content designed to harvest your data, solo cabin sharing setups, and fake Facebook excursion deals are not hypothetical. They are happening right now, on routes and itineraries many of you are probably planning. Knowing how they work is the first line of defense. If any of this was new to you, or if you've seen something similar on a recent trip or in a group you follow, I really do want to hear about it. Drop your experience in the comments below. The more we share with each other, the harder these scams are to pull off. Next time, I'm going over the specific things cruise lines do at the port and onboard that cost you money without you realizing it. There are more than a dozen, and a few of them will genuinely surprise you, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one. If this was useful today, tap the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear it. And subscribe if you haven't yet. Smooth seas, and I'll see you next time.